All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is now April 21st. This here is going to be the Chapter 18, Section 3 video that goes along with the Christianity and Medieval Society. You can remember at the end of last week, we were talking a little bit about the Crusades and how the Christians tried to reclaim Jerusalem from the Muslims. They were successful in the first crusade, but then the following crusades were not quite as successful. But here we're going to take a look at Christianity within Europe and within the medieval society of Europe. All right, there were so many social events that took place at the local church, and that's what made the church so important in many of the villages and towns throughout all of Europe. Now, you have to understand, Europe at this time, all of Europe was so heavily focused on Christianity. Um, so that's why, the church really hosted a lot of these different social events like markets and festivals. And then, of course, the religious ceremonies. They would all take place at these churches. And that's because these churches were the focal point of the village or the city. So think about the ziggurats, think about the agora in Greece or the forum in Rome. In these European towns, the church was kind of that place. All right. Pilgrimages were certainly encouraged during this time also. And of course, we know from other studies, especially during Muslim studies, that a pilgrimage is a journey to a religious location. And this is what was highly encouraged by many of the Christian leaders, is that Christians take these pilgrimages, these holy pilgrimages. Now, some of the places that they would go to maybe are Jerusalem or Rome. There was a place in London known as Canterbury, where many Europeans were encouraged to go. So Canterbury, England. And so, of course, Christians are pilgrims also, and we will know of them when we get to setting up the New World here in America and the pilgrims coming to the New World on their religious journey. Another thing I want you to understand are friars. Friars are these people that, excuse me, I'm going to pause this. Sorry, I paused that there. I was doing some sneezing. But anyways, a friar is a person that belongs to a certain religious order. So you have these Christian friars, but they live among the people and they do their teaching among the people of the villages there. Um, Monks are going to be a little bit different. So a friar and a monk may seem similar. They're very religious. They're teaching their religion. But a friar will go out amongst the people of the village and do their teaching. Monks usually live in a monastery up in the hillside, something like that, and rarely ever come out of that monastery. So friars played a very important role in spreading Christianity throughout all of Europe. Some of the things we can get from friars is they lived simply, owned no property, were beggars really. But they taught people how to live their Christian lives during this medieval time. All right. Um, the Christian church is going to play a huge role in setting up universities and encouraging education throughout all of Europe. Um, of course, you're going to have to be a certain level of society to even get an education. But the education that you will get will certainly be revolving around the Christian teachings. So the Bible is how you're going to learn your readings and writings. But the Christian church is going to take a very, very big role in, you know, preserving books, preserving works of art, preserving other artifacts throughout all of history, and especially monks and friars. Monks in the monasteries will really do a big part of preserving historical records from the BC time period and all of that too in their monasteries. But then they will set up some of the first universities throughout Europe, such as in Paris or in Berlin or London and places like that. And it's going to be for hundreds of years that these universities are going to be used for educating the masses around Europe, especially in Christianity. And classes at Europe's universities are very similar to how classes would be today. You would have math, you would have language, you would have history, you would have you would have sciences and things like that. Students taking tests. So it's really no different today than how the universities are doing. Maybe the content, of course, is different, but the format of moving from class to class, the different types of studies that you would have, things like that, were adopted by the universities that were set up by the Christian church back during the medieval time. You have this guy here, St. Thomas Aquinas, who was a university professor, was a teacher at the University of Paris. And he believes that rational thought could be used to support Christian beliefs. So he believes by using your brain, scientific method, scientific reasoning would prove to you that God certainly existed. Some of the things that he would say right here: things are in motion, hence there is a first mover. Things are caused, hence there is a first cause. Things exist, hence there is a creator. Perfect goodness exists, hence it has a source. Things are designed, hence they serve a purpose. So this would come from St. Thomas Aquinas, that of course God can be proven through these types of things, that things are in motion. There is a first, mover. It must be God. So using rational thought to believe in Christianity. So this comes from St. Thomas Aquinas. All right, so one last thing I want to really talk about is kind of the architecture and things like that of the Christian cathedrals or churches. They had very high ceilings, huge stained glass windows, as you can see here, using the arch architecture from the Roman times, the pointed arch and things like that. And then the flying buttresses, and that's this right here. This right here connecting another part of the church. Like here might be a bell tower connected to the church by this part right here. It looks like a bridge or something like that. This is known as a flying buttress. These are features of these Gothic churches. This one here is actually a cathedral in Prague, Czechoslovakia, but it's this architecture right here that really makes it stand out. And so you could actually even look around the United States and you could see churches around the United States that would have this Gothic feature. A lot of times you might find them, say, in New York, Philadelphia, Washington, really along the East Coast, since that's the early part of American architecture, was over there on the East Coast where our 13 original states first grew up. But that there is just, this is kind of the last slide for that, kind of just a real quick take on the Christianity and its influence in medieval Europe, and how come it controlled so much of society. It was so important throughout all of Europe for hundreds and hundreds of years that it really became the social center. The church became maybe not just the church itself. And when you say the church, you're talking about the Pope and the clergy. The clergy are these religious leaders in the cities. You're talking about the friars and the monks. Every part of life was really dominated or centered around, church activities. All right, so thanks for taking the time to listen to this video, and make sure you complete the quiz that is in Schoology for this video also. Have a great day.